Sonic Movie and Equestria Girls Chapter 1, The Storm. All that could be seen was a dark void which was accompanied with a ringing sound. A soft voice could be heard as the louder it got. The more you could hear the rain and lightning that accompanied the voice as it got louder. It was only when the voice was clear that revealed what was going on as the voice yelled.
Everyone, hold on!
Sonic opened his eyes to see himself barely holding to the tornado as he looked over to see Knuckle barely holding on while Tails was barely able to control the plane. Sonic held on, which felt like he was holding on for dear life as the wind felt more powerful than before.
You know, I didn't expect this to happen.
Remind me again whose fault it was that we're in this situation.
Hey, to be fair, the new Marvel movie just came out, so of course I would want to watch it early without getting spoiled.
How much longer will it take to get back to Green Hills?
My calculations, it would take about another 3 hours at best.
Sonic could only groan in annoyance and boredom as this all happened because they wanted to see a movie early by going to a different country altogether. Now they're stuck in this storm which they didn't expect to happen since it was clear skies earlier.
Well, at least it can't get any worse than this, am I right?
Unfortunately for the blue hedgehog, it did, as from the distance formed a massive and cloudy tornado which made the others stare in horror.
Well, I'm sure that tornado won't be that bad.
The massive tornado then started to glow blue in color as they felt the plane being dragged inside as Tails struggled to keep a hold of the plane. Sonic and Knuckles could barely on as the only noises they could hear was the lightning which struck close by.
I believe you should stop jinxing us from what the Earthlings call it.
Sonic tried reaching over to Tails as he saw the emerald inside glow ever so brightly, but with each inch he moved, he felt himself slipping from the plane's grasp. Tails tried to move the plane, but amount of force the tornado had on them was too much as they were sucked inside the blue light as the plane went circling around.
Brace for impact!
Sonic and Knuckles held on as the trio closed their eyes, preparing for the incoming impact to who knows what. A couple seconds went by before Sonic's vision went dark once more. The blue hedgehog then opened his eyes to see himself perfectly okay as the only thing he could see is the dark and cloudy night. The strange thing was that they were no longer at sea but somewhere inland with trees which seemed endless in sight. To his relief, he looked over to see his friends were okay and still alive as the plane they rode on seemed scratched and barely functionally.
Told you we would make it.
You owe me double the dessert once we get back.
Tails then looked over to see his radar as it strangely didn't pick up any signal from Green Hill. Thinking that his radar was broken, he simply landed the tornado down safely into the trees below them, finding ground to land the plane. Sonic was the first to jump down as he fell face forward while kissing the ground, repeating the words,
"Oh sweet land, how I'll never leave you again."
Where are we?
I don't know, I'm not picking up any signal here.
How long will it take you to fix the tornado?
It's hard to say. I'm guessing a few hours, give or take.
Well, if that's the case, I suggest to set up camp until we know where we're at.
Good idea, Knuckles. I'll check around and see if there's a nearby town or city. Maybe that will give us clues where we're at.
I'll recheck our supplies. I'm sure we'll have enough to last us for a while.
I'll try and connect us to one of the satellites. Maybe that will pinpoint our location.
Then it's sad I'll be back in a bit. Hopefully we could get back home sooner.
Sonic then ran at top speeds. Tails' device then started beeping as he picked it up to see the radar finally picking up something.
What does it say?
Huh? That's strange. I don't think I've ever heard of this city before, Canterlot.
Later on, Sonic ran in top speeds as it took him almost a solid 10 minutes just to find the nearest town. Strangely enough, it almost reminded him of Green Hill Zone. He was grateful that night had fell and barely anyone was out. Last time he and his friends were exposed to the public, everyone kept staring at them. As if it's that weird to see a talking hedgehog, fox, and echidna walking around. Right. Sonic ran up a building as he made his way up the building top to get a better view of the city. He looked around to see the lights in the buildings shine across the area against the dark and empty sky. Sonic could only look in awe as he saw from a distance a sign which said the location where he was at.
Canderla. That's strange. I've never heard of a place like that before.
Before the blue hedgehog could turn around, he heard a soft cry down below the building top he stood at. He could only look down slowly to see a certain female crying while wrapping her arms around her legs in a huddling position. This certain female wore a light amber coat, red and brilliant yellow hair along with blue jeans. Sonic could see the tears come down her cheeks as he looked over, innocently at the female below him. She looked tried, sad, and worst of all alone.
I wonder what happened to her.
Little did Sonic know that what he said was the only voice that could be heard as the female stopped her crying to look up. Luckily the blue hedgehog managed to keep his face unnoticed, but it still didn't change the fact that his presence was still no. The female could only ask softly as her raspy voice was still present after her cries from earlier.
Was there?
No one.
What do you want? If you came to disown me like the others in school, then go ahead. I deserve it.
I really don't know what you're talking about, but if it helps, we can talk about it.
Why should I? You wouldn't even understand.
Well, I could try.
Sonic could only hear the female sigh as she spoke in a depressed tone as she decided that there was no use holding it in anymore.
I've made mistakes, and I got people hurt. I was selfish, cruel and mean, and because of what I did everyone now hates me. I've been called names, I've been disowned, and so much more. But I know deep down I know I deserve it. Even when people try to reach out to me, I feel like they either pity me or only keeping their promise they made to a friend. I just feel scared, lost, and so alone. Maybe I'm not cut out to be a better person.
Sonic could only look down sadly as he knew what it felt like to be alone, to feel as if nobody was there for him and that the whole world was against him. It was only when Tom and the others came to his life when things started to turn around for him for the better.
You don't say that. We all make mistakes in life. How else would that prove we're human? But the important thing is that we learn from our mistakes. Don't let what happened define what you are, and use your second chance to make things right. I know you may seem alone and frightened about what will happen next, but that's why we have the friends around us. They help us push forward and become a better version of ourselves. Now let those friends of yours help you and prove to those people that you've changed for the better.
The female could only wipe her tears before a small smile formed in her face as for some reason, even though she didn't know this person, he sure did help her in her time if need.
Thank you.
No problem, ma'am.
Sunset Shimmer.
My name's Sonic.
It's nice to meet you up there, Sonic. Although it's getting late and I have school tomorrow, so I'll be heading to bed, but thanks again for the advice.
No problem, but if you need someone to talk to again, then you know where to find me. Up in this rooftop, I suppose.
Well, good night.
Sunset then went back inside her house with a smile as Sonic finally had the courage to look down to see she was no longer there. Sonic then quietly got down from the building before dashing back to the others in top speeds, feeling as if he's explored enough for one night. Later on, Sonic had finally made his way back to the others as he saw Tails and Knuckles looking worried about something. Sonic was the first to speak as he was excited to tell them what had happened earlier.
You guys would not guess what had happened earlier, so met his beck and girl and...
Sonic?
Sonic could only see the worried expression on his friends' faces, which could only confuse the blue hedgehog in their sudden change in mood.
What's with the surf faces, guys? It's like you've just seen a ghost. By the way, I figured out what city we're at. Something called Canterlot or something.
The fox figured this out after you left.
Really? Okay then, if that's the case, we should be home in no time.
Knuckles could only look over to Tails as the little fox stopped forward to explain the situation towards the blue hedgehog without making himself sound crazy.
That's the thing, Sonic. I don't think we're going back home anytime soon.
What do you mean by that?
I know this may sound crazy, but I don't think that tornado we encountered earlier was no ordinary storm. Somehow, by some crazy illogical miracle, we've entered a reality separate that's different from our own.
What? Well, are you telling me that we're in a new realm of existence different from our own, like a separate dimension or something?
It sounds hard to believe, but from what the fox told me, I'm starting to believe that he could be right.
But that's impossible. There's no way something like that could even be possible. Not even rings are that advanced to travel between separate dimensions. How was that storm even capable of even doing that?
There's no other explaining though. I even checked our current location thanks to connecting to the satellite. There's no place here dating anything back about Green Hills. Things like gun don't even exist here either. Nothing from cities we know and love.
But that's impossible. There's no way we're in a different universe. What about Donut Lord or Pretzel Lady? What about our room? What about the new Marvel movie coming out? Dills, please tell me we have a way back.
Theoretically speaking, there's one way to get back.
Could only pull out the Master Emerald, as Tails could only explain further about the possibility of getting back home.
The Master Emerald to transport us back to our universe, but for a device that could stabilize that much power would take months, possibly years to build. The technology in this world doesn't even seem that advanced as well, but I'll work with what I've got.
For the meantime, we'll have to make ourselves comfortable for a while. We don't know how long we'll be here, and if people in this dimension were to know about the Master Emerald, then destruction is soon to come.
This is all my fault. If we hadn't left, we wouldn't be in this situation right now.
Hey, don't worry about it. As long as we stick together, then we should be fine.
The fox is right. We do not need you blaming yourself for a mistake that was obviously yours.
Okay, we really need to work on those pep talks, big guy. Will this all doesn't seem that bad. Plus, at least I could try and visit Sunset from time to time. Although I think it would best if I don't show my face. Don't want what happened with Tom the first time we met to happen again.
Now then, let us feast on the beast that I have so bravely caught.
Are you sure those fish aren't poisonous, Knuckles?
Nothing is poison to a warrior's stomach.
Whatever you say, big guy.
Knuckles then revealed the fish that he caught as he gave both Sonic and Tails while standing around a campfire. Although the trio didn't know what was to happen next or what to expect, but deep down they had something that even Robotnik couldn't break, which was their friendship.